What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today we're going to talk about Social Security, and we're going to talk about where the money comes from, because there's some confusion when it comes to politicians talking about Social Security. They're saying that Social Security adds to the debt, or Social Security is what we spend the most money on. And we need to really start talking about this, because this is another way, this is another tactic for politicians to get rid of Social Security, or at least make cuts to Social Security. Because when you start looking at the programs, yes, we're spending a lot of money, but where's that money coming from? And is that money adding to our debt? And that's the big issue there. If it's adding to our debt, yes, that's a problem. But is it really adding to our debt? So I'm going to show you this clip, and then we're going to talk a little bit about this. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, follow me on Twitter at the TEC Show Live. I'm over there retweeting, tweeting, posting videos. So any video that I post on YouTube, I also post it on Twitter. Okay, one more thing that I want to talk about before we get started with this clip and start talking about Social Security. Yesterday, I did a video on retirement. I plan to do more videos on retirement, but I need you guys to help me out, because the algorithm doesn't like the videos that I put out when it comes to retirement. So make sure, if you guys can do me this favor, watch the video all the way through. When I post videos on retirement, I should be posting a video either later today or tomorrow morning. So when I post that video, watch that video all the way through. Make sure you like the video and share the video out with other people. Share it on Facebook, share it wherever. You can share it on Twitter as well. But I really want to get YouTube to start promoting these videos out more. I did a poll yesterday, and in that poll, the vast majority of people who are watching my channel are retired. And so I want to start talking a little bit more about retirement, the life of being retired, because I think that's important. There's some surprises, there's some positives, negatives, all the stuff that goes along with being retired. I want to start talking a little bit more about that. So I need you guys to do me this favor, because YouTube will start promoting it more if they see that there's an interest in it. And knowing that the vast majority of the people who are watching my channel are retired, I think we can go from there and really start a community of people who talk about the positives and the negatives of being retired, because we're all doing it. So just remember, the best thing that you can do for me is like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And that really does help YouTube. It helps the algorithm on YouTube know that, okay, let's promote this out to more people and grab more people and pull them in to the discussion. Okay, so let's go ahead and play this clip. Now, this clip is Mitch McConnell. He's going to be talking about Social Security and how basically it's the big spender is what he's saying. And then they're going to have some clips of Ronald Reagan. So they're going back even further with Ronald Reagan. I don't know exactly when this clip was taken of Mitch McConnell, but it was some time ago. It wasn't yesterday that this was posted. Obviously, we know Mitch McConnell is having some health issues. So this is back a little, I'll say probably 5 years ago is when this happened. Now listen to what Mitch McConnell is saying. Now I'll play it first, and then we'll stop it, and we'll go back and we'll talk a little bit about it. But this is very, very important, because this is a strategy that some politicians right now are using in order to say, let's just do away with the program, or let's make cuts to the program. We shouldn't be spending all this money on this program. So let's go ahead and play it. Here we go.
What's going on with the debt?
It's very disturbing, and it's driven by the three big entitlement programs that are very popular: Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid.
Social Security has nothing to do with the deficit. Social Security is totally funded by the payroll tax levied on employer and employee.
That's 70% of what we spend every year. The subject we were just discussing, the funding of the government, is about 30% of what we spend.
If you reduce the outgo of Social Security, that money would not go into the general fund to reduce a deficit. It would go into the Social Security Trust Fund. So Social Security has nothing to do with balancing a budget or erasing or lowering the deficit.
Okay, so that was Social Security Works, and I posted a video last week talking about the executive director of that program. He was being interviewed, so I did show that clip. And so this is the same organization. Now, It's very interesting to listen to how Mitch McConnell phrases this. So he's basically, let's talk about the deficit was the question, and he's talking about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. They take the bulk of spending. But what he is not saying, and what you heard Ronald Reagan say, is that this does not add to the debt. When it comes down to Social Security, it's coming from the payroll tax. You pay 6.2% when you're working. Your employer pays 6.2%. That money goes to the Social Security Administration. Now, any money left over, because years ago they had money left over, that's the money that went into the trust fund. It never goes into the general fund. And so when we're talking about the general fund that's where we're going into debt. That's where we're overspending. That's where we're borrowing money. But when it comes to Social Security, it's a whole different bank. And they're not taking money from Social Security and putting it into the general fund and paying down the debt. That doesn't happen. And so when you have politicians that are saying this, when they're saying our big problem right now is spending on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, then you start thinking, okay, well, in order to bring our debt down, we need to cut those programs. By cutting these programs, it's not going to bring down our debt. And if you have politicians out there making you think that, oh, yeah, you know what? If we made these cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, that will help when it comes to bringing down our debt. They're telling you a lie, and they're hurting you because they're cutting from you, knowing that that money is not going to do anything when it comes to bringing down the debt. And we're still going to be looking at $31 trillion in debt, and it'll continue to rise. And we'll wonder, why is it rising when they said that we were going to make cuts to Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. We're going to raise the full retirement age and all this different stuff. We're going to privatize Social Security. And you do all those things, and it doesn't bring down the debt because it's not designed to bring down the debt. And so you do have some politicians out there that are saying we should bring Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, bring them into the general fund. And that would be a disaster. But you do have some politicians saying that we should bring it into the general fund. Then they would have access to that money, and then they could do whatever they wanted to do with that money. And so right now, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, it's safe where it is. And if it stays in the trust fund, it will not affect our deficit at all. It's not going to improve the deficit. So in order for us to improve the deficit, which we're gonna have more talk about this because of the debt ceiling. We're going to hear this over and over again about a budget. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to create a budget for 2024. Well, in the House, they haven't even moved forward with anything when it comes to the budget. And so right now, all you have is President Biden. He put a budget forward for 2024, but we don't know what Kevin McCarthy wants to do with the budget. He has not put anything forward yet. And we're we're getting close to June. In June, July, that's when they're saying this needs to happen. We need to raise the debt ceiling, but they have not put anything forward yet. And so once they put something forward, then we'll know where we're negotiating from. But right now, we don't know where we're negotiating from. So this is going to continue to be a huge problem. But I just wanted to put that out there when it comes to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. That money is not going to bring down our debt. That money is not going to help when it comes to future budgets. And so I just wanted to get this clear. Now, please share this with other people. Let them know this as well, because when we talk about things, if you don't have the correct information, you're not going to make a good decision. And that's exactly what politicians are banking on. They're banking on you not making the right decision. When I say you not making the right decision, you being okay with politicians not making the right decision because you don't have all the information. That's a better way to say it. Because if a politician comes out and says, you know what, we're going to have to make cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and the reason that we have to do this is, we have a $31 trillion debt. That's why we need to make these cuts. And then they're not telling you, well, even if we make the cuts, it's not going to bring down the debt. And so you look at this and you say, okay, well, I'm okay with that. We need to bring down the debt. We all need to sacrifice. So let's make some cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid because we think it's going to bring down the debt. And you find out later, it doesn't bring down the debt. And so that's the huge problem there. So I want to know what you guys think about all this. So let me know in the comments below. This is one of those things where you hear it a lot. You hear politicians talk about this an awful lot. Entitlement programs, we're spending so much money on entitlement programs, and they're saying this because they want to do away with the programs. Even if they're saying, no, we don't want to make any cuts. We don't want to make any cuts. We want to protect Social Security one way. Now, understand this too when it comes to protection, because we need to talk about this. what exactly does protection mean? If you're saying you want to protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, you can protect it by making cuts to it. Because you can say, you know what, we need to protect it by making some cuts in order to allow it to be around for another 50 years. And so that could be a protection as well. So when you hear people say, yes, we want to protect Social Security, well, do you want to make cuts? Or do you want to actually expand Social Security so it will be around for 50 years? Because there's a difference between protecting and expanding. And you have some politicians right now talking about expanding Social Security. You have Senator Bernie Sanders talking about an expansion to Social Security. You have some politicians talking about protecting Social Security. Protecting could just mean that they want to make cuts in order for Social Security to be around longer. That's it. So basically, just like if you have a budget, you have a certain amount of money. In order to stretch that dollar, stretch that money, you spend less. That's what they could be talking about when it comes to protection. And we don't know yet. So we're still waiting to hear what these bipartisan senators come up with when it comes to a plan to move forward to reform Social Security. That's something else that we're waiting on. We haven't seen anything on paper. We've heard some politicians come out and say different things, but we haven't seen anything. So we don't know exactly how their plan would work, but you still have these nonpartisan group of politicians in the Senate talking about this. So we'll see if they do anything anytime soon. But there are a lot of things that are coming to a head right now. The debt ceiling is coming to a head. Social Security is coming to a head because something definitely needs to be done. And the longer that you wait, the worse that it will get for people receiving Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. So I want to know what you guys think. Like I said, down below, let me know. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.